Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana Timiram Dhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yatkim Chisacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. We're doing the second chapter of Panchadashi, and Vidyaranya is analyzing the nature of Sat Swarupam. And the questions that are posed by the Nayayik is, where does the existence exist? In other words, where is the location in terms of Desam and Kalam? Kalam is because you say Sadeva Soumya Idam Agra Asit. This existence was existing before creation. So before is a concept of time. And therefore time was there before Sat was there. So when was that Sat started existing, or where, and also where, location wise, desam wise, kalam wise. And in response to that, Vidyaranya says existence was there before even time, and before is used only for convenience to communicate to the student who is used to when, where, and so on. So therefore it is only upaya. Upaya is a means of communicating the knowledge, because even before the time itself came into picture, the existence was there. And therefore you cannot say when existence started. And now you can also say, you cannot also say where existence existed before creation. So where involves a space, but space itself came after the existence, one of the creations. So therefore you cannot ask the question where and when, even though scripture is trying to communicate to the student who is used to in terms of concept of space and time. So it's only a convenience rather than there is any special time or space for existence to exist. And the question that was posed again is, how can one know that existence without having a thought? Because you see, scripture also says you have to think, which are some say that vijñāsasva. Therefore you have to inquire. Inquire involves an inquirer and the means of inquiring, which involves buddhi. Therefore the intellect is required in order to recognize the Sat, and therefore there have to be thoughts. So there has to be thought existing. So the question that is posed is, can one have existence recognized without having any thoughts? Because thoughts came later as a part of creation, since the buddhi came after the creation. Says in the sloka 44, sadvastu suddham tu asmabhihi nischitair anuhuyate tushnim sitavana sunyatvam sunya buddhistvana varjanaha, and sadbuddhirapi nasti mastvasya swaprabhatvataha. So it is, if you say that I cannot have thoughts in order before the creation, and therefore how can you know Sat? That's the question. It says, let there be. You don't need thoughts. Why? Because it is swaprabhatvataha. It shines by itself. It means it is self-revealing. So I don't need a thought, but I need a thought to remove the ignorance. So one has to be careful here. When the scripture says you have to inquire into the nature of reality, it is a knowledge involved, and knowledge involves a process, and the process involves a buddhi, and therefore through the mind only you can recognize. At the same time, it's beyond the thoughts. So how am I going to know it? And this is always a question of a speaker. Who is going to know? If I am not the buddhi, who is going to know? And therefore, says that question is not valid, because the consciousness is swaprabhatvataha. It shines by itself. That means it is self-conscious entity. Therefore, it is self-revealing entity. In fact, that is the only one that is self-conscious, and that is the only one that reveals by itself. So how does this occur? This in the Atma Bodha I give example where Shankara gives, where if the sun is clouded, when there is a clouds covering the sun, and I say I cannot see the sun. Why? Clouds are covering the sun. So clouds, like ignorance, are covering the sun, or ignorance is covering Atma. So how can ignorance cover Atma? Okay, so prabhatataha, it is self-shining itself. It's just as the clouds cannot really cover the sun, but clouds as though covering the sun, because the one who is underneath the clouds, underneath the vasanas, cannot see Atma, because he is covered by the Atma, ignorance. Therefore, what need to be removed? The clouds have to be removed by a process. How do the wind blows, and the clouds are removed, and then what should I do? There is nothing else to do. Sun, the self-revealing sun, becomes self-evident. I don't have to do anything more. All I have to do is remove the obstruction that is obstructing my vision of the Satsvarupam. In the same way, in the scripture you can see that vasanas are covering the sun, covering the Atma. I had to remove that block. Vasanas have to be removed, and in the process, the consciousness that is self-revealing. So how do you know clouds are covering the sun? I can see what? Clouds are covering the sun. In what light I can see the clouds are covering the sun? In the sunlight, of course. So in the sunlight, I am seeing the clouds covering the sun, because of which I cannot see the sun. In the same way, Atma, the self-consciousness, even illumining the ignorance, and so I know that I don't know. I know that I don't know I am Brahman. I don't know that I am infinite. Even if somebody tells you, I cannot even believe it. Why? Says, I feel I am only localized. Brahman means infinite. I am only a finite guy. How can I be infinite? That's crazy. So even if somebody tells me, I cannot even accept it. I say that fellow is something wrong with him. So therefore, that is why it's called Guhyam Guhyataram. It is super secret, because even if we tell you, you won't believe it. And that is the nature of ignorance, and therefore one has to find out how can I be infinite when I am thinking already I am only a finite guy, born such and such a time and going to kick the bucket one day, as I see everybody is doing it, and therefore how can I be eternal entity and how can I be infinite entity? That doesn't make any sense to me, because I am using a logical approach to solve a problem. But scripture says that your conclusion is wrong and what you are is infinite. So for that I need to inquire, how can it be? Therefore vichara is required, but vichara is only to remove the ignorance, and in the process the consciousness becomes self-revealing. So prabhatvataha. Therefore conscious self is not some object of knowledge or something I had to see or something I had to become, and all those notions are only because of my misunderstanding of the nature of the reality. It is nirmanaskatva sakshitvat sanmatram sugamam runam. Therefore, without the need of any mind, without the need of thoughts, it is there. With the thoughts it is there. Without the thoughts it is there. It's not the elimination of the thoughts. It is an understanding that because of which all thoughts are known also only in the light of consciousness. That need to be understood. Did we do 46? Okay, we'll do 46. Manojrumbhanarahitye yatha sakshi nirakulaha maya jrumbhanatah purvam sattadaiva nirakulam together. Manojrumbhanarahitye yatha sakshi nirakulaha maya jrumbhanatah purvam sattadaiva nirakulam. So mano jumbhanarahitye, when there are no thoughts, manaha is the mind. Mind is nothing but a flow of thoughts or a platform in which the flow of thoughts occur. So therefore mano jumbhanarahitye, in the absence of any mental activities or thought process, yatha sakshi nirakulaha, there is a witnessing consciousness as sakshi, just as there is a witnessing consciousness which is present even when there is no mental activity. When is that happens? It happens when we are in the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, sakshi is still awake, and sakshi means that which is witnessing consciousness. It is witnessing what? Witnessing the absence of all objects in the world. So what do I say in the deep sleep state? Nothing. Where was I? No, I don't know. Time is not there, space is not there. Nakinchana kamam kamayata. That's what the Mandukya Upanishad says. I have no desire for any object because I don't see any objects. If I see only, I have desire. So therefore, the scripture says that there cannot be any objects. Are there really not objects? Just as when I go into a dark room, I say I don't see anything. Right? No objects. Hey, is there something there? Is there a chair there? I say I don't know. Now, does the chair really exist or does not exist? How can I tell? I need a light to know whether the chair exists or not. So, in the darkness, whether it exists or doesn't exist cannot be established. Therefore, same way, when I am in the deep sleep state, the existence of the world or non-existence of the world cannot be established. But from the point of the sleeper, deep sleeper, because there is no space and time, therefore there is no mind itself to think of anything. Therefore all is there is, I am there to sleep very well, because I say I slept very well. Therefore I was there to sleep very well. Therefore I was sakshi of what? Sakshi of non-existence or non-observation or not having any knowledge of the existence of any objects, including space and time. Not only that, I do not know that I do not know also. Right? Because I do not know, I was ignorant in the deep sleep state. I say once I get up, say, what did you do? I slept very well. Say, where were you? I don't know. What did you see? I don't know. I don't know comes only. But I don't know that I don't know was not there in the deep sleep state. Why? Because only the mind can say I know and I don't know. The mind itself, even the ignorance and knowledge can only be known via the mind. Because when I say, do you know Gaga Boo? Say, I don't know. How do you know you don't know Gaga Boo? A lot of people think Gaga Boo is there. How do you know that you don't know Gaga Boo? I know that I don't know Gaga Boo. That means I have a knowledge of the ignorance of my Gaga Boo. I have knowledge of the knowledge of things I know. So viditamma, aviditabba. The known also known, unknown also are known, that I don't know it. But in the deep sleep state, neither I know nor I don't know, and I don't know that I don't know also. And that is still I am there. So because I am a Sakshi, where the mind, absence of the mind is recognized as, those who are familiar, the missing 11.5 minutes or 7.5 minutes, 17.5 minutes of Nixon tapes. So there's a gap of, how do you know? If you turn, there's a gap there. Gap, I know I went to sleep. Now when I get up, I know it's already 4 o'clock. Because I go to sleep around 2:30. So it's already 4 o'clock. So that's in the afternoon, not in the night. So at night time I go to sleep at 10 o'clock sharp. Get up at 4. But here, in the absence of recording instrument is also not there, and therefore that is recognized in the waking state as absence of my mind, as absence of my knowledge of both known and unknown. But it's not lost, it's only absent, because if I know chemistry or if I have a PhD in so many subjects, I may sleep in the deep sleep state without being aware of the knowledge of so many PhDs and so many subjects. But yet when I get up in the morning, all that comes back. Therefore the mind also, when the mind is awake, mind with the knowledge come back. Now, how does Ajnani sleep and how does Ajnani sleep? In the deep sleep state, there is no Jnanam or Ajnanam, because the mind itself is folded. So, when the Jnani sleeps, he sleeps as a Jnani, because the mind of a Jnani, or Jnani of the mind that knows the Jnanam, also folded there in the deep sleep state. Therefore, he sleeps as a Jnani. So, how do you know? If you wake him up, he will tell you. So, in the same way, a PhD in chemistry sleeps with the knowledge of PhD in chemistry only, because if you wake him up, he will tell you all the equations, balancing equations. In the same way, a Jnani sleeps as a Jnani, and Ajnani sleeps as Ajnani, because when you wake him up, he will say, I am only limited guy, and so on and so forth. So therefore, even though the Jnanam and Ajnanam is only at the mind level, when the mind is folded, the folded mind will have the Jnanam or Ajnanam, as the case may be. And Maya Jrumbhanataha Purvam Sat Tat Eva Nirakulam. Therefore, before Maya came into picture in terms of the creation, Maya Jrumbhanam means before the creation, Purvam, before that, what was there? Tat Eva. That Tatha Eva. Sat Tatha Eva. Similarly, Sat alone was existing there without any modifications or perturbations. So the whole discussion is taking place in terms of Maya now. So he will address first about Sadeva Saumya, the Sat aspect of it, and now he is going to address the Maya. Now this discussion is on the basis of Chandogya Upanishad, where Sadeva Saumya idamagramasit. That was the statement being analyzed. Existence alone was there before creation. So, ekam eva advitiyam he analyzed as sajati vijati swagata bheda rahitam, as no differences of any kind, and he analyzed what is sat and agra, all those words, asit, everything else, one by word, methodically analyzed. Now he goes to the next statement of scripture and says, what does the Chandogya Upanishad say? Those who won't know, it is there. We took that Sadvidya in the camp also. So what does it say? Oh, it says Tadaikshata Bahusyam Praja Eti. It saw and then wanted to become many, and he became many. What was there? Existence alone was there before creation, and it saw. There is nothing to see. Therefore, it became self-conscious entity because it's conscious of something. And it saw, what is it? Let me become many. A desire came into the Sat. Therefore, Aikshata means seeing means it is also a conscious entity. It's not a pure existent entity. It is conscious entity. So this Aikshata is used as in the Brahma Sutra to establish that Brahman is, that existence is consciousness itself. And then it became many. But there is no discussion of Maya in the Chandogya Upanishad. Now, Advaita Vedanta brings as Maya. So, lot of other Darshanika means philosophers like Advaita, Visishta, Advaita, Ramanuja and Madhvacharya, they criticize you are unnecessarily bringing something which is not there in the scriptures. So, Maya. But here it says Maya is implied because there is a creation. So here he is going to talk about the Maya aspect of it from now on. So what is Maya? We will, in general, if you look at it, what is Maya? Maya is Shakti of Brahman, number one. Now the question that is going to be posed is, where is that Shakti? Who has that Shakti? So obviously Brahman has it, because there is nobody else. So if I say Brahman has the Shakti, now question is it separate from him or is it part of him? Or what is the relation between the Shakti and the Brahman? Or the two things are one thing? Or the same or two? All these discussions come into picture because Dvaitins are waiting to point out you are introducing a Dvaita in this. Dvaita means duality, because Brahman is different and Shakti is different. There are two things, therefore Advaita doesn't stand anymore. So, how do you say that is a Shakti? Number one, there is a Maya with the Brahman. So, all these things are going to be analyzed step by step here now. So this is you remember the Panchadashi is written by Vidyaranya in the close to the 14th century or 15th century. By that time there were arguments and counter arguments etc. against Advaita philosophy. So Shankara came around 7th, 8th century, and after that Ramanuja came around 12th century, and Madhvacharya came around 13th century, and before that there is all other philosophers also, the Ambaraka, and then so many other philosophical positions are also there, Bheda Advaita philosophy and so on and so forth. And all were taking Advaita as the Purva Paksha and criticizing it because they are trying to propose a new theory. And when you propose a new theory, you have to show what's wrong with the old theory. And therefore, they were all criticizing the Advaita philosophy. That's one set of criticisms. The other set of criticisms is coming from the Sankhyas and Yogas, and also Nayayikas. Naya means Nyaya Vaiseshikas. There are the Nyaya and Vaiseshika, two philosophers, and they believe in the logic much more than the scriptures, and they start criticizing also on the logical grounds. So several criticisms coming from different directions, and therefore Vidyaranya, when he is analyzing, he takes possible objections from those schools and pose the objection and then answer it. So that when you study it, you will have a clear picture of exactly what Advaitic position is. So this counter and objections and counter objections and the Siddhanta. Objection is called Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha is an objection, and Purva Pakshi is an objector. Pakshi means bird normally. Purva Pakshi is an objector. And in any philosophy starts with what is Purva Paksha? This is an objection, and answer is called Siddhanta. Siddhanta means answering that particular objection. Now we are taking about the Maya aspect from now on. So Maya is, from our point, it's very easy to understand Maya. Maya is what is there is Brahman. Brahman is infinite. But there is a creation now. That was the statement is creation was there before. So when something is happening, there has to be a driving force. That's what the science says. So if something is becoming into something, then there has to be a force behind it. That's called, in the science, it's called driving force. So if there is something here, and if it moves from here to somewhere else, there has to be a force. Otherwise, it cannot just move from one place to other place. And that's how Newton defines a force also. Force is that which moves an object from its position A to position B, or changes its velocity also. So that's how the force is defined. Therefore, now we can use the Maya is a definition based on the action. Without the action, I cannot see the force. Even though there may be a potential force there, potential energy is there, and it can translate into a force, but as it is, unless it is translating, you cannot see the force. And that is what the whole, basic science is also, and that's what Advaita Vedanta says also. I cannot see the Maya, but from the effects I had to infer there has to be a force causing this creation, because the scripture itself says what was there before creation is pure existence. Therefore, after creation, pure existence and creation. Existence cannot cease to exist. So there is a transformation, some kind of transformation from pure existence to existence, creation with existence. Now, his creation is different from existence. We'll analyze later as we go along. But there seems to be a transformation, and therefore there has to be a driving force, and that force is called Maya. Maya cannot be known unless I see effects of it. From the effects, I have to deduce that there was a force causing these effects. So that is the clutch of the problem. Okay, and this is what is going to be analyzed also here. You can see at that time what kind of thinking went through. Nissatva karyagamyasya Nissatva karyagamyasya Sektirmayagni sektivat Sektirmayagni sektivat Nahi sekti kachit kvaischit Nahi sekti kachit kvaischit Bhujyate karyatah pura Aryatah pura. Together. Nistatva karyagamyasya Sektirmaya agni sektivat Nahi sekti kachit kvaischit Bhujyate karyatah pura. So Maya is inferred from karyam. Karyam means karyagamya is inferred from the effects. One can infer there was a force causing these effects. So Nisattva is non-existence of that which we cannot see in the pure Brahman, but because there is a transformation occurring, we have to infer that there was a power that is resting with Brahman, because there is nothing other than Brahman. Therefore, he has this power because of which the creation occurs. Just as Agni Shaktivata, he gives an example, just as fire has a power to burn. So fire is inherent, the burning power is there with the fire. Where is it? Only when it burns we know that it has a power. So when the effects come in, when it executed, then we know that that has a power to do it. Just as I have speaking power and you have listening power, these powers come into picture when it expresses itself into the actions. And that is the same way Brahman has the Maya as a Shakti, and that is expressing, even though it is of the nature of, it's not of the nature of existence. Existence alone was there, but it has as though, quote unquote, as though power that to provide something into something, because it itself became many. Therefore, it implies that there was a power to become many, and therefore that power is called Maya Shakti. Nahi Shakti Kachit Kvaischit. So Nisatva Karyagamya Asya Shakti Maya, Asya, that of that existence, Shakti Maya, the power of existence of the Maya is like Agni Shakti Vatu, like the power of Agni to burn. Shakti Kaischitu Karyataha Pura Nahi Buddhyate. No one can recognize the presence of a force before the effects are happening. That's a statement. So Nahi Shakti says Kaischitu means no one can ever recognize Karyataha Pura before the effects are formed. So Nahi Buddhyate, no one can know that there is a power. So unless the fire starts burning, we don't know the fire has a burning. If you put a finger there, it will get burned. Then you know it has a power to burn. Same way, when somebody speaks, say he has a power to speak. And when somebody can listen, he has a power to listen. And all these powers can get manifested, then we have an idea from the effect that there is a power. So without the execution, one cannot deduce or infer the presence of the power to execute. So Swami Paramahansa gives an example. Says, one fellow says, I know all the yogas, every yoga and every exercise I know, but still he is still fat, he is not becoming thin or doing anything. Says, if you know why, what is the problem? How much time you are spending in yoga? Says, I am not spending any time, but I know it. So what good is having in known it unless you exercise it and execute that yoga? So it is the same way. So no one can tell that you have the power unless you execute. That's one. Now the question is, what is the nature of this Shakti? Okay, we say, let's say there was a Shakti. There was a Maya Shakti. Now, what is the nature of this Maya? That is the question that is raised. Is it of the nature of Sat or is it nature of the Asat? That's what they call it. In the sense, the Shakti cannot be of the nature of Sat, because what we say is, it is the nature, this is how the reduction logic is, the Brahman has this Shakti, number one. And Brahman is same as Sat, because the Sat is the nature of Brahman. That is the second. Third aspect is, the one it has is different from the Shakti. Agni is different from fire of burning. I am different from my power of speech. Right? So even though I have the power of speech, I am still different from the power of speech. Only when I execute, you say I have a power of speech, but the power of speech is different from me because it is a quality that I have. I am the one who is the locus for the quality. So locus is different from that which I have. So therefore, the implication is the Shakti is different from the locus of the Shakti. Shakti is a power. Power is different from the one who has the power. So I have a buying power. Buying power is different from the person who has the buying power. Right? In the same way, Shakti has to be different. So what amounts to? First statement, Brahman has the Shakti. Second statement, Brahman is same as Sat. which means that Sat and Shakti are there, and Brahman is different from Shakti, therefore Sat is different from Shakti. That means Shakti is different from existence. Follow the logic? That means Shakti is not of the nature of Sat. Then what is left? Then Darshanikas say, if it is not of the nature of existence, it is only of the nature of non-existence. Right? For them, there are only two. So this is where how the philosophical traditions come into picture. If it is not of the nature of Sat, it is of the nature of Asat. There are only two possibilities. Either it exists or it doesn't exist. So if I say it is non-existent, you cannot say non-existent force created this. So therefore, it is not of the nature of Asat also. So it is neither nature of the Sat or it is not the nature of Asat. So then what does it become? Therefore, we need to create another entity which is neither Sat nor Asat, and that's what Advaita calls it as Mithya, called Sat Asat Vilakshanam. Vilakshanam means different from existence and non-existence. So that is the nature of Maya. Now you follow. Maya is the force needed for creation. So the creating power itself is of the nature of Sadasat Vilakshanam, Mithya. And when it creates, the creation also is of the same nature as the creating power. So therefore, even the creation world is also of the nature of neither Sat nor Asat. Is Mithya. So Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. So that is the Advaita. World, Brahma is a Satyam, which is Sat, and the whole world is Mithya. So why do you say so? I am seeing it. How can you say it is Mithya? So this is where all the logical arguments and counter arguments goes on. But from the point of the Advaita philosophy, it says what is Satyam is defined in the scripture itself. Ekameva Advitiyam, that was existing all the time, alone was there, there is nothing other than existence. And Krishna says that Nasato Vijjate Bhavo, Na Bhavo Vijjate Sataha, that which exists can never cease to exist. Therefore existence is all the time there. So what happened to existence after creation? So Shankara says, read the scripture properly. It says, Sadeva Somya Idamagramasid. Existence alone was there before. Now the same existence is there with the creation. Now what is the story? Creation, when he says is existing, but the existing creation is Nama Rupa only because what the creation is neither Sat nor Asat, neither it exists nor it is non-existent, it's only a Mithya. But as long as I am in that field, in the creation, looking at the creation, that nature of that creation that I see is as valid as the one who is seeing it. Means the order of creation, the reality, that's called the ontology. Ontology means the order of creation in this is, you have to see the mind that is seeing the plurality is of the nature of the plurality also that it sees. Therefore, if you say the creation is Mithya, the one who is seer also is a Mithya also. So therefore, the mind that sees also is Mithya. But when I do not know it is Mithya, I take it as Satyam, real. Satyam means real. So as long if I don't know that what I am seeing is really not real, not unreal also, I take it as real only because I am being affected by the creation. Just as when I am in the dream state and I feel that the dream is real, the tiger is really real because I am affected by the hunger, by the thirst and all those things in the dream. Even though I may have scrumptious meals before I go to sleep and all the meals and everything I am in the air-conditioned room, when I am dreaming that I am only in the forest and starving for many days, and the food that I ate or the drink that is available on the next to the bed is not useful for the dreamer, because he is still searching for if there is any water around here for him to drink. So he needs only dream water to quench his dream thirst, and he has to go to dream hospital if he is sick also. And he has to use the dream money for his transactions, and waking money is not useful there. And the dream money will not be useful for waking state. You may be a millionaire in the dream state, but a pauper in the waking state. So all that millions are not helpful in the waking. So swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satyasad. As long as you are in that state of reality, you take that reality as really real, rather than it is mithya. Vishwam darpana dusyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam. This is in the Dakshinamurti sloka. First sloka starts with that. Vishwam darpana dusyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam. He says the whole world is looking at the mirror and looking at the image of it. It is just like only a false image that is really there. So a fellow will ask question, fellow means Advaitin, hey, you are saying that it is like a image that you are seeing, right? For image to see, there has to be original, right? If I am looking at the mirror and I say I am seeing face, there has to be original face to see the image there. That means if you say that this creation is a projection, there has to be real creation somewhere. What I am dreaming is because of the oppressions and suppressions of the waking state only, and that state only I am projecting here, and therefore it's only as though like a mirror image projecting, and therefore there has to be original somewhere in order to project it. This is a part of the Adhyasa Bhashya in the Brahma Sutra. It says there is no original. It came from the previous impressions of the previous life. That means whatever I projected in the previous life, imaginary projection, is now projecting again this in a different way. So you cannot escape like that. The previous one should have the original. No, previous one also like that, because it was come from the previous to previous one. So the fellow become desperate. He says there has to be first original one. Says there is no first original, because this is endless creation. Therefore, this Maya is beginningless, and it is there with the Brahman all the way. So all these aspects are analyzed now. First is to prove that Maya is neither of the Sat Swarupam nor of the Asat Swarupam. He established the existence of Maya because of the basis of actions or karyam, because no one can see the force unless the effects are produced. That's what the analysis is. So from the effects, I had to deduce that there was a force causing the effects. Okay, 48. Nasadvastu sata saktihi, nasadvastu saktihi, nahi vakni swasaktita, nahi vakni swasaktita, sadvilakshanatayam tu, sakti kim tattva mucyatam, sakti kim tattva mucyatam. So here, posing here. So, na satvastu, so asatvastu, sakti sahana. So the existence of sat, existence of satvastu means existence of the reality of the Shakti is not of the nature of existence itself. In other words, the Shakti has to be different from Sat, because Sat has the power, and the locus of the power has to be different from the power itself. So it says, Nahi Vaknehi Swasaktita. And the Vaknehi is here, the fire. Just as the fire is, the power is there, but power is different from the fire itself. Power to burn is different from the fire itself, but fire has the power to burn. Same way, the Sat, which is Brahman, has the power to create as using Maya, which is a Shakti, but Shakti itself is different from Sat, because it is the owner or a possessor of the Shakti. The one who is a possessor is different from possessed. That is a simple statement. Therefore, Sat Vilakshanataya tu. Therefore, it is different from existence. It's different from Sat. Therefore, first establishing that the Shakti is different from Sat. Or Maya, Shakti is here Maya. Maya is different from Sat. And therefore, Shakti kim tattvam uchyatam. Therefore, what is the nature of, if it doesn't have existence, what's the nature of the existence? What is the nature of the Maya? That's the question that is posed, and that which will be answered in the, so it is, in the, what he established is, it is different from existence itself. Its Shakti is different from existence because existence has the Shakti. Therefore, it is different from existence. Now he is going to prove that it is different from non-existence also. So essentially, he has to establish it's different from existence, it's different from non-existence. So it is Sadasat Vilakshanam. Therefore, it is of the nature of Mithya. Sunyattvamiti chet sunyam. Sunyatvamiti chet sunyam. Maya karyamitiritam. Maya karyamitiritam. Na sunyam napi sajjadruku. Na sunyam napi sajjadruku. Tradruktva mihishyatam. Tradruktva mihishyatam. Sunyattvamiti chet sunyam. Maya karyamitiritam. Na sunyam napi sajjadruku. Tadruktva mihishyatam. Okay. Sunyatvam. Sunyatvam is here, is of the nature of, sunyam is used in the nature of non-existence. So, if iti chet means in case you raise the say it is not of the nature of existence, therefore it is of the nature of non-existence. If you say, and sunyam maya karyam itiritam. So how can non-existence be a cause for creation? So Maya is a force causing a multiplicity of things. So non-existent force cannot be a cause for existing effects here. Therefore, in case if you say that in the previous sloka he said that it's not of the nature of existence. Now if from that statement if you try to conclude that it is of the nature of non-existence, it cannot be, because non-existent force cannot create anything at all. Nasunyam napi sadhyadruku. So, traduktvam eheshyatam. So, sunyam napi sati. So, it cannot be either of the existence or it cannot be of the nature of non-existence. Therefore, it has to be it has to be yadruk traduk. It has to be understood in this way only. What? It is not of the nature of existence and it's not of the nature of non-existence. Therefore, it is different from existence and non-existence. So, we are creating a third category which is different from existence and non-existence, and that is what is called Mithya. Okay, so here Advaitic philosophy is being established in a way that there is a Maya. That's why they call it Mayavadins. But there is a Maya which is a force which I cannot see, because no one can see the force unless they see the effects. From the effects one has to conclude that there was a force that caused the effects. Therefore, he says creation occurred because what was there is pure existence. Then Bahushyam Pradayeti, it became many. Therefore, has to be implied by the becoming many. There was a force to become a many, and therefore the force is implied by the effects, and without the effects knowing we cannot know the force. And what is the nature of the force? It is not of the nature of Sat, because Sat has the power. Therefore, the one who has the power is different from the power itself. Therefore, it is different from the existence, and you cannot say it is of the nature of non-existence either, because non-existence cannot be a force for creation. Non-existence cannot. Therefore, you have to create a situation where it is of the nature of, neither of the nature of Sat or nature of Asat. That is the nature of Maya. So in the Viveka-Chudamani there is a sloka. Okay, I forgot about.
What's the context?
The Maya definition.
Maya definition. Okay.
Yeah. No. That is a Maya, two defense.
Yeah.
Mahat Bhuta. Before the, yeah, there is
around there, right?
is neither Sat nor. No. Okay, anyway, it's next to that sloka.
Yeah. I keep moving around. I'm not there holding anything. There.
Sannapya sanna ubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinna ubhayatmikano, sangapya nanga ubhayatmikano, mahadbhuta anirvachaniya rupa. That's the sloka. So it is neither Sat, sannapya sanna ubhayat, neither Sat nor Asat.
Yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah. So, sannapya sanya ubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinna ubhayatmikano. So how do we understand it? How do you understand it? Simple example I give is, suppose I have a ring, okay, golden ring. Now look at this. That's where all Maya is there. Maya is just, Maya is so difficult to understand. It's very simple to understand. If I look at the ring, now is it same as gold or different from gold? Now you ask me. See, sannapya sanna. I can say ring exists or not. Ring, if you say ring exists, you say, no, I said there's no ring there. Ring doesn't exist. It's gold existing only. Right? Because it's a gold. Why are you calling unnecessarily ring? It's only gold only. So if you say ring exists, no, it is not. There is no existence of ring. It's only gold. But now I bring a bangle. You say this is a bangle and that's a ring. There is a difference. Why do you say ring is ring and ring has a utility different from a bangle's utility and therefore experience, and I'm seeing a ring different from a bangle? If you say argue, yes, ring exists also. For your sake, we agree that. So should I say it exists or should I say it is? It is different from gold, but it's not different from gold. Right? Now, this is exactly same way as, because I am seeing an effect, gold has the power to become a ring, but gold itself in the form of a ring, but that transformation, so-called transformationless transformation, is what is called Maya, that which contributed to this transformation. That's what essentially it is neither existent nor non-existent. Ring is neither existent nor non-existent. What is existent is only gold, and what is existent you call it is only vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam. This is what the scripture says in the Chandogya. It is only Namke vaste. Acharya means Namke vaste, creation. Namke vaste means namesake. There is a name because there is a form. But what is there is only Sadeva Saumya. Existence alone is being expressed in varieties of names and forms, and therefore qualities and attributes, utilities and all that are different. Utility of the ring is different from utility of the bangle, but yet what is there is only gold. The same way what is there in existence is only that. So that is that's why you have to understand as it is. That's what is Maya. Because Maya is the force because of which one became a many. But same existence is now appearing as many. The appearance is different from the reality. So when I take the appearance as a real, then I have a problem. Our problem is nothing to do with it. When I take the appearance of plurality as a reality, then I get into problems. So what should I do? Go backwards. Whatever appears is nothing but not really real. Then what should I do? If you think you have to do, play the game of life. That apparent game you can play. So whatever the role, that's why it's called a drama. So why is a drama? Why you have to play drama? It's fun. People all go there to see drama. So what should I do? When you put a vesham, when means costume, and if you put a costume of particular role, you have to play that role. Play beautifully. Roles will have a problem in the drama. Right? If he's a king and he may be dismissed by another king, and all those things can occur inside the drama. So role will have a problem, but not the fellow actor. Both are friends. The enemy is also his friend, and the other fellow is also friend. One who kicking him also is friend, because both are actors there acting in the drama. So once I know it is a drama, then you play beautiful actions, right? With the background music and all that. You can play beautifully. But knowing very well that it is only drama. That means I should not forget I am an actor playing this role, and once in a way I have to go to Vedanta class or green room to remove the costume and see what my nature is, so that I won't forget it when I put Vesham again. After the class, we'll be putting Vesham or whatever the costume we are wearing, and not to forget that I am only putting this for the transactions, but my nature is, as Vedanta class says, I am pure Satchit Ananda Swarupam. Sir, you are pulling all these things. Scripture doesn't say all this. All it says is, Bahusyam Tada Eti, it became many. Where is this Maya? You're saying it neither exists nor existence was there, all that things. You're all creating your own story, and this is why it's called a Mayavadins. The Advaitins are Mayavadins. So in order to give a scriptural quotation, because scripture is alone is a pramana, so he is going to take the quote, the Rig Veda scripture of Nasadis. That's what is the statement from Rig Veda is quoting for the Maya, because it is of the nature of neither existence nor non-existence. It is of the nature of Mithya, and there is no Mithya, because the other Darshanikas do not agree that there is a third category, that either it's either Sat or it is Asat. You cannot have something in between. And what is in between? Oh, it cannot be explained. Anirvachaniyam. This whole Ramanuja criticizes this exhaustively, the Anirvachaniyam aspects of it. And Madhva also criticizes. So all these philosophical positions, they are criticizing it. Here we are talking about, so what is the scriptural, the pramana for this? That is taken in the in the 50. Nasadi sin no sadasit. Nasadis no sadasi tadanim kim tva bhutamaha tadanim kim tva bhutamaha sajyogatamasa sattvam sajyogatamasa sattvam nasvataha tan nishedhanat nasvataha tan nishedhanat. Together, Nasadi no sadasi tadanim kim tva bhutamaha sajyogatamasa sattvam nasatvataha tan nishedhanat. I split it in words. So Tadanim means before creation, what was there? This is the Rig Veda. First line is the quote unquote, and it's a paraphrase to as a quotation from the Rig Veda. So in the Rig Veda, there is a statement relating to this Maya. It is neither of the nature of Sat nor of the nature of Asat. So that was there. It's called the Tadanim. Before creation, what was there is called Tamaha. Tamaha means here it's darkness. That's what the statement, tamas is darkness. But here ignorance is the darkness, and it is of the nature, it's called ignorance from the point of Jiva, and same thing is called Maya from the point of Ishvara. We don't want to call Ishvara is ignorant. So it is a power of Ishvara, Maya. Mayanta Prakritim Vidyat, Mayinantu Maheshwaram, it says in this Vetaswara. So therefore, it is a power, Maya, so that is Tamaha. It is of the nature of Tadanim before creation. Is what is there? It is the na sat, na asat, asit, na sat asit. So there was non-existence was there, nor existence was there. That was the quote unquote of the Rig Veda statement. And therefore, before creation, that was there as a tamaha, that was there as ignorance, that was there as a maya, and which is of the nature of neither existence or nor existence. Therefore, there is a scriptural pramana to say that maya is there. And that maya, then what is the nature of maya? Do you call it is if you say it exists or doesn't exist? Now a very funny statement. What is the nature of Maya? It says, if you say it exists, and it says Satyoga, yoga means in combination with Sat, it is operating. That means it is existing in cooperation with the Sat. So what should be before that in combination? It's all statements questioned in the rise. Say, is it of the nature originally non-existence or existence? If it is already existent, then you don't need any yoga of Sat. If it is non-existence, non-existence can have a contact with the existence, because there is nothing, it is non-existent. I don't know if you follow this statement. It says in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutam gamaya. Then Asato ma sadgamaya, right? That's how it says. Asato ma sadgamaya. That's all the prayer. Those who want to know, you can go to my website and look at that. I think there is time is almost over, right? So this we'll analyze much more. Understanding is, if I am already it says, from non-existence, please lead me to existence. That's what statement is, right? Asatoma sadgamaya. If I am already non-existent, now how can I make prayer even? Right? If I am only for me to do prayer, I should be existing. If I am already existing, then why should I ask him to make me existent? So it becomes useless prayer. Either is useless prayer or impossible prayer. But we will pray anyway. So that's what we have to be understood clearly. So those who want to know more about it, they can go into my website and says what is the meaning of prayer. There is in the Advaita. This is what analyzed in it. Let's stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.